Hi, everyone. My guest today wrote a terrific article about taking charge of your sex life, whatever your age is, and just saying yes to sex and having some fun with it. The article ran in the February-March issue of AARP the Magazine, right here. I know it's a little backwards right now, but you can also find the article right now online, so you can do a little search for it. I asked Ellen Uzelac to come out on the show to talk through what made her decide to write this article and to talk through some of the most useful and perhaps most surprising, maybe interesting tips that she learned from the experts that she interviewed and also some of the couples that she talked with. So it's all about, kind of having your own sexual reawakening. And I really thought the article was absolutely terrific, a lot of fun to read, very encouraging. And so, Ellen, welcome to GRUFFtalk.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, let's just start from the very beginning. What made you decide to write this article?
Okay, I experienced a 5-year sex drought after my husband died. Sex and sexual intimacy had always been a big part of my identity. And its absence, I felt full on. This is not unique to me. I know it's happened to so many older adults. But I reconnected with a man called Ed, who I had profiled for a magazine decades before. And
we read about Ed a little bit in the article.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And it was terrific. And I thought, wow, finally I'm having sex again, like everybody else. But what I discovered and what stunned me is a lot of couples, older adults, are not having sex at all. I talked to my gynecologist about it, and she called the sex drought for people 50 and over an epidemic. But it's an epidemic without a name because no one's talking about it. And that was my aha moment. I thought, this is a story, and it's become a 2-year passion project.
That's really interesting. What are some of the biggest challenges, that you discovered as you were interviewing all of these people, including the experts and the couples, of course?
Yeah.
The biggest challenges that men and women face as they're, entering midlife and beyond and maybe want to have a sex life again or starting to have a sex life after a long spell like you. What are some of the biggest challenges?
Just in brief, there are many, but in brief, for women who enter menopause at the average age of 51, it's vaginal dryness. It can make penetrative sex very, very painful. For men, in brief, it's erectile dysfunction, which starts to really manifest in the late 50s and up. The men just don't have the reliable erections they once had. And then on top of that, arthritis, joint issues with hips, knees, back problems.
Just like general chronic
It's
pain and discomfort.
Natural
and
stuff.
Also, I've written about this a bit and interviewed someone who I think is absolutely terrific. And anyone out there listening will know I've talked about her a great deal, written about her a great deal, Esther Perel, who wrote the wonderful book, Mating in Captivity. And she really focused on people who've been together for maybe many, many years and have grown a little bit bored with each other or bored with themselves and their sex lives. But she also talked, too, about some of the other issues that can happen, the externals, right? Like a kid, your children may still need you, or your aging parents.
Absolutely.
And it can be exhausting. You're working full time perhaps and still have this kind of sandwich generation situation going on. And you can be tired. That's a challenge I'm sure that you encountered as well, right, Ellen?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is that for all of those issues, there are solutions if people wish to have sex lives. It's possible, but I think a lot of people they don't communicate, and that's really the whole underlying thing. Really, the people who are having the best sex are having the best conversations. Plain and simple.
Yeah, that's true. And again, that's something else I learned from Esther Perel when I interviewed her for my first book. Oh gosh, like about 10 years ago. And that was really critical, she said, to a couple kind of getting back together again, or starting a new relationship and a sexual relationship as well. So when you were interviewing people for this article, were they hesitant to talk about their sex lives? I mean, were they shy about it, embarrassed? And do you think that sex is still a taboo topic?
I think it is, sadly. I approach so many people who would, if you don't use my name or you don't photograph me, that wasn't going to work. So I found 3 wonderful couples, 50s, 60s, and 70s, who were completely out there with me and open, and it was so refreshing. But I think, taboo, but this is pretty interesting. I found out last week, the article ran on AARP.org, as you said in your intro. In the first 21 days, it got 138,000 unique visits. That's a lot. So
That's
I think
there's a lot. Ellen, yay!
Yeah, I know. I'm super excited. But
as
it's
you should be.
It's the number 3 trending story on AARP.org. So even if your listeners have read the piece in the magazine, I urge you to go and look at it online because it's bundled completely differently. But I think what this demonstrates...
Yes, it is. And also, I want to point out, Ellen, I just yesterday went back to reread it online because I like to see the comments. And the comments were amazing.
Amazing.
There were so many comments. I've lost track of how many there were, but there were a lot. And I'm sure it continues to grow. And people really have a lot to say about this. And I was very impressed with some of the very revealing comments that were
very
being
heartfelt.
made.
Yeah,
yes.
And the thing that I take away from that too is that while it may be taboo and uncomfortable for many, many people to talk about, there's clearly a hunger for people to be educated, informed, and inspired about this topic.
Yeah, and they don't want to feel embarrassed about talking about it.
Right.
You know, I also focus a lot on menopause, and that's like another one we can throw into that pile of things that people still think are taboo to discuss. But sex, such a natural thing, such a lovely thing, such a wonderful part of life and of a relationship that to not talk about it is crazy. So what are some of the, this I kind of want to hear from you about, what did you learn from the experts that you interviewed for this article? What are some of the things that men and women can do to reignite their sex lives?
This is the fun part. For one thing, redefine what good sex means for you. What does good sex look like as an older adult? For a lot of folks, penetrative sex, penis and vagina sex may not be your comfort level anymore, literally. But there's this whole thing that wellness professionals call outer course, which I love that name. And so oral sex, masturbation, cuddling, rubbing, erotica, sex toys. There are just so many things you can bring into the relationship that can help restore the sexual intimacy. It's just being explored in a different way.
Yeah, and that could really be a fun thing, is that if you've been having sex the same way for all of these years until you've hit midlife, and then maybe you're confronting some of these new challenges. I mean, having this, what did you call it? Outer sex? Outer course?
Outer course as opposed to intercourse.
Exactly. Outer course. I love, that's a great term. Outer course, and there are so many ways. And also, just speaking physically, the whole sexual experience, and I'm talking only on behalf of women right now, but that to kind of get to orgasm, it's at this age and this stage of life, having that outer
stimulation,
experience really could be much more impactful and effective in getting you to even want to have intercourse.
Yeah, no, I'm a believer. I'm a true believer.
Yeah. Have you found personally that since rediscovering your sex life again, reigniting it with Ed, and then deciding to write this article and doing the research and talking with people, have you found that you've really expanded your horizons? I mean, have
Absolutely.
you, like using different sex toys and other ways you have?
I came late to the party on sex toys. It's a life regret at this point. They're great. And the stimulation with that is fabulous.
I'm thinking about how I really would like to have an episode on sex toys. Actually, I'm trying to figure out how best to do that.
Yeah.
How to talk about it. But I'm right now talking with a few experts and also some women who like to use sex toys, and
heck yeah,
how to do it, why to do it, where to get them, what the best ones are. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
right.
And there are actually sex toys that are being made specifically for the older adult market, which is also kind of an interesting little sideline.
That is interesting. Yeah. Do you have an actual name that you recall of a company that?
I don't. It's for an upcoming story.
Oh, stay tuned, everyone. That's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's really, really great. So tell us something. We mentioned Ed a couple of times.
Yes.
And he is your sexual partner. I guess let's call Ed that at the moment.
Yeah.
And so how are things going with Ed? Do you care to share?
Oh, sure. They're great. I'm grateful every day. I feel fulfilled every day. It's added so much to my life, my happiness. And I'll be seeing him about 45 minutes.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope this was a conversation and we're bringing him into it, brings a little smile to his face. So what do you think, what was the most surprising thing that you learned?
Through the reporting? Or
just the whole experience of, or really even just your own experience. What's been so surprising for you?
I'll go more to what the experts say, is that all of the amazing solutions there are to this. And we didn't even get into the medical solutions that there are. People with erectile dysfunction, there are like 8 different things you can do. I talked to one sexual medicine physician who said, if you have a penis, you can have an erection. That's incredibly hopeful for men who avoid sex, many, when they feel like they can't get hard. So, so that was big. And oh God, and just how important sex is. I mean, individually and as a couple, it's just, it just brings so much back into the joy.
Right, into the relationship. If the relationship is, ongoing and has been, again, that was Esther Perel's main focus with her book. Couples who have been together for many years and want to reignite their love lives. But then, of course, there are people like you. And then there are people, who have a widow for a number of years. And then there are people, as we know, the gray divorce is huge and growing. Right. And there are people who are single, maybe by choice. And so and they too want to reignite their sex lives. And to that, I also say that, we mentioned sex toys and masturbation and other, what you call outer course, that's again, a great term. That is important for women to really appreciate, because don't think you need to have a partner to have some sex.
Absolutely.
Or a sexual experience, I should say.
Absolutely.
You don't.
And I'd like to add here too, for women, for whom sexual dryness is a problem, there are 2 fabulous fixes that I have personally found. One is a vaginal estrogen cream that plumps up the vaginal walls and for me, it's made things easy again. And the other thing is lubricants.
But what I just want to add in, that is prescription you're talking about. Yes, and that's something for, we talk about it a great deal on the show and also in Menopause Cheat Sheet. newsletter that I
Right.
do with Dr. Margaret Noctegal, and that is super important. If you have vaginal dryness, which you probably do if you've gone through menopause, because it happens to the majority of women,
90%,
is that you
yeah.
should talk to your healthcare provider to get something like that. What else?
Absolutely. What else?
Medical treatment you were talking about.
Well, it's a go-to that is not medical, and that's just lube. Lube is fabulous to use alone or with a partner. I mean, for me too, that's been a game changer. Absolute
Right.
game changer.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think really, I think women just, and men, of course, but for the most part, the GRUFFtalk audience is women. We have to just expand our horizons and I think accept the change that our bodies are going through and will continue to go through. I mean, that, change is a part of life throughout life. And then
Right.
just make those tweaks. And that's really what
Right.
this is all about. And if we just kind
Absolutely.
of think about it in terms of tweaking, and you said earlier, communicating your needs, communicating
Absolutely.
what you like and don't like.
Right.
Haven't we gone, look at our age, right? We should be able to stand up for what we want at this
Right.
point in our lives, right?
Absolutely. But it's so hard for so many couples to do that. So I hope that if anything, this inspires people to communicate. I'll share this one thing. A woman in her 50s, been married for, 25 years. She read the article aloud to her husband, and it sparked a conversation that she says will be life-changing for them. It has just made them rethink how they communicate sexually together. And that's what I wanted for this story to do is spark conversation.
And clearly it has, the fact that it's so high up in the most read, number 3, you said, and also the number of comments that I'm seeing,
Right.
and that continues every day because people I also saw are responding to comments. So creating
Right.
a real dialogue.
Exactly.
Online, which is what this
Exactly.
is all about. And we need
Absolutely.
more voices talking about sex after 50, sex in midlife, sex in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. There's no reason why we shouldn't be having sex, and good sex.
Absolutely.
Good sex.
Absolutely.
At any age.
The best.
Right?
I know. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what are your top 3 most important takeaways? You said a lot today. What do you think your top 3 most important things you want everyone to remember?
For sure, communication. If you're not talking about sex at our age, you're probably not having sex. I talked to one gynecologist, she's terrific, who says, be intentional. I love that word, be intentional about sex. What do you need? What does your partner need? What do you want? What don't you want? And she said, with that, it can be rich and rewarding. It may be different, but you may like it better. Who knows? I guess the other thing, and we didn't really get into this, but reigniting. So when we're older, spontaneous hormonal desire doesn't occur as much. So create a situation using physical stimulation, masturbation with each other or just with you that can stimulate the desire for sex. And I guess the last thing and the most important really is that sex can be ours lifelong. There's no reason for it not to continue 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. It can be ours lifelong.
Oh, that's great. Great tips. And I just want to add to that what we already said, but I want women to remember that you don't have to suffer in silence. If you have vaginal dryness, which is a major issue and a common one too, you're not alone, to maybe speak to your healthcare provider about a prescription treatment and or great options now over the counter and online for lubricants and moisturizers and this is just something that women really should focus on, I think, because it's real. It's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And I'm really looking forward to that next article that you're working on.
Yeah. Well,
about sex toys.
stay tuned to AARP.org. We've got a lot of stories about sex coming out in the next few months.
Oh, that's great. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.